Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
It has been long overdue to expose the truth that the Democrats and Republicans are sucking the life out of America's liberty and usurping our rights at every turn. Now is the time to seize our civil liberties and take back our individual rights. Here on Southern Liberty, we will expose it all. With his musket on his back, the Declaration of Independence in one hand, and the Constitution in the other, here's your host, Roderick Threets.
Hey, welcome. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We appreciate y'all coming through this evening for the experience today with me and my lovely and beautiful co-host, Miss Valerie Zim. What's going on, Miss Val? How you doing?
I'm doing okay in this crazy world we're in. We're just like we're trying to take it all in, and it just gets nuttier and nuttier every single day. Just really, whoa. It's hard, This is hard work.
Yeah, it is hard. It's a whole lot of as the kids like to say, it's a lot of war. It's a whole lot of war.
It's too hard. I don't want to do it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Right. I don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody wants to be invaded, right? I never thought about this word before in such a way that I am now, invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like everything. Everything.
Yeah, it does seem like it's every single thing, isn't it?
Like, what could we leave out and say it's not invading our state of mind? That's actually probably the easier question to answer. What's not invading us?
I have my ideas, but I'm sure yours will probably supersede mine. Because here's the thing, though, right? We're being invaded on every single level, right? Physically,
yeah.
Right? They started
Yep.
physical and the spiritual one at the same time, right? And then obviously they're invading us financially, right? They got us there, right, in our pockets, but. They start breaking a man's psyche or woman's psyche. They'll make a man or a woman do things they don't want to do, or how else can I say it? Out of destitution, right, against their character to make sure they maintain financially. Whether it be prostitution, it be drug running, it be whatever, right? And that comes a lot of times from a broken spirit sometimes, right? Because all the other factors between physical, the physical and the spiritual makes you just like, it's all connected. But again, we're only here to talk about the spiritual side of the invasion. So I'm going to let you have it.
Yeah, it's almost like which came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Right.
I mean, it really, it's really like, like we think about an invasion, as bodies, like coming at us with guns and knives. We've heard historically about invasions of countries, and it's pirates, and it's people, and it's mean, and it's loud, and it's where we are now. We're accepting. See, I think many of us don't realize this spiritual invasion is something we've played along with and allowed for so long because it was insidious. It was like this nasty virus that came into us.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I started to think about this, and I said, warfare from within. We did not notice it happening. So where did it happen? the real, like, silent enemy when we were kids was on our TV. It was in our school systems, right? Star Trek violence, it was just like, oh, well, this is fun, this is entertainment.
Right.
And, you know, if you could do the CCP, that's what they were kind of infiltrating, doing to us. They knew what they were doing. This is the art of war. They're very patient. This is how they got under our skin, so to speak, you know? And when I think about, like, immoral behavior, I think that really took place more. You think about, like, the 60s and 70s, like, the movies that were coming out were very suggestive, to say the least. And I think about when my daughter was younger, Sex and the City. I don't know how many people saw that, but to me, analyzing what was on the screen, I saw these four women very different from each other. You know, one was the writer, serious one, but she was very immoral. The other one was a wild, gore, maniac woman. The other one was like this good little Catholic girl who always needed to do the right thing. And the fourth one was like this super intelligent lawyer, workaholic type. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is really one person that's inside of all of us. It was very well done. I mean, in terms of you believing and thinking, oh, these are four very different women. However, all these different women told you it was okay to be a wild, maniacal woman having sex all over New York City with anybody that you felt like it, and being drunk all over the place. And this was how it got cemented into young people and older people that actually sat there, the parents, saying, well, I guess if this is what the kids are enjoying, you know, I'll watch it with her so that I can make a statement or intercept something I feel is uncomfortable. But this is how it slowly dripped into our veins, that this was something we had to all accept, float along with, allow our children to be affected by, and then it all happened.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
It's literally it's the overt perversion of what most of us, right, would call degeneracy, right? You know, regardless of, you know, and when we're talking about spiritual, right? I mean, we're talking about all belief systems, right? And every belief system to its core, right? There is some fundamental things that will always remain true. They will always remain true across all faiths, right? But what they've done, especially in the United States, right? In the United States, we have been an experiment on psychological warfare. We've been the experiment. We've been the guinea pigs, right? I mean, people think COVID-19 was this mass guinea pig experiment. No, what they're using through what we call the boob tube, right, to desensitize us to degeneracy, right, has brought us to this point. Like you were saying, you know, women just men and women both hopping around, sleeping with anybody they can and who they want to across New York City. That's been promoted through TV for how long? It's been promoted through music for how long?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like we're just desensitized to it. We think that is romance, that is intimacy, right? But we're poking a small hole into our spiritual bubble and letting all of that good out, while the evil, the degeneracy replaces that. And now we're at a point in our society in the United States that people think it's okay for men to dress up as women and then tell stories to 6 and 7 year olds. This is where we are with this desensitization of these things, right?
Yeah, and you know, when you think about like I remember my parents, like their generation, Portnoy's Complaint and Goldfinger and all this like sexual material just sort of invading. And we were not allowed to see that stuff, and we were not allowed to go near it. But what happened out of that came this generation of kids that said, my parents are plastic. I don't want to be like them.
Right.
To me, that was the first revolution that the CCP globalists, who, whatever you want to call the infiltration, the invasion that happened in our minds, that was the beginning of the turn of children believing they needed to disrespect their parents because they didn't want to be like them. And look what we have today. We have these poor little kids, and I'm going to say poor because they're taking these mushy, easy brains and convincing them. Oh, by the way, on this topic, I heard something very interesting the other night, that most of the kids that are being transitioned, now I did not know this, this is statistically supposedly correct, are autistic. Now.
Yes, ma'am. That would be very correct. Yep.
So think about, and there's all different spectrums of autism. I mean, some autistic children are super intelligent in certain areas, and then they're deficient in others, and some people are lower on the spectrum. But if they are made to believe that their autism is not really real, that really what they needed was to transition and not be who they are, they would then be happy. This is the psychological disaster of our lifetime. And in the fact that they're doing this to the most susceptible children is very sad, very, very sad. And then it normalizes the whole thing to even the kids who are depressed, lonely.
Yep.
Let's face it, after the last few years, they are.
Well, look. Let's go back in time a little bit, right? Let's talk about the Uvalde shooter a second, right? The Uvalde shooter, right? He was apparently on the spectrum, right? He cross-dressed, right? And then he was fed money to buy guns.
Sure.
Right? This is exactly what you're talking about, right? We've gotten to, we've arrived. We've landed that airplane, that DC-9 that's been lost in Bermuda Triangle for the last 50 years. It just landed, right, at Bush Intercontinental. It just landed. That's it, right? So that's the blueprint of the type of child they want to try to transition, right, to continue the depopulation agenda, right? It's literally eugenics, right? Because think about this a minute, right? They already have places. There's already places in the world where if you get the gender test, I forget what test it is, not gender test, but if you get the test, that particular test, that test for Down syndrome, and if your child possibly has Down syndrome, you can abort that child with no problem. Right? They will give you a pass to do that. This is where we are. Right? It's all part of that same eugenics agenda. So if it's born, they're going to prey on the Down syndrome people. They're going to prey on the autistic people. Right?
That's
right. To make these transitions because they do not, what's the purpose of not giving birth to a Down syndrome child? So they do not continue to populate, and they literally breed or kill the gene of the Down syndrome out of existence. They breed it out of existence, and that's the same thing with these autistic kids. They want to breed them out of existence.
Yeah, but I think if I'm incorrect, I am. But I think Down syndrome children are sterile. Yeah, so they're not going to repopulate.
Well, and that does depend. I'd have to look on the studies on that to see if they are able.
I think I remember that. You just jolted it from my past, but.
You mean Down syndrome people don't usually reproduce, yes. Correct? Right.
Yes, that's what I was referring to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason that they were allowing people to abort, even before abortions were totally, in and popular, is because they did not want you to have to suffer your whole life taking care of a child once they were able to determine that a child had Down syndrome. I remember when I went to my first obstetrician when I was pregnant with my daughter, and he said to me, I am a deeply religious doctor, and I want you to know that if you do have a Down syndrome child, I will not abort that child, and I will not take care of you if that's something you would want to do. And I had never thought about it. I was like, you know what? I don't want to abort my child, no matter what. It was a pretty easy decision for me. And, I think that this is another way they got us to accept all of this normalizing of aborting, getting rid of. Hey, Hitler did it. Who did Hitler go after first? The people who were handicapped in one way or another. Right into the chambers they went. This is really no different. When you interrupt nature and you just say, no, this is not good. No, this one's bad. This one has brown eyes. This one has dark skin. This one has whatever, a disease. This one has, it all gets lumped into this disgusting pool of we are going to control our environment. And we're going to give you the power to control your environment too. Don't you feel lucky? It's all over again, the same thing if you really look at it. Now, autism especially lights me up because I was when I first moved here to Boca, I was a part of the Unicorn Foundation, which is a very big foundation down here for autistic children. And it was Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago who gave us his clubhouse, his theater, to do these giant, these were huge venues of entertainment and fundraisers and trip giveaways. Everybody brought their stuff to the table, whatever they had to donate to the cause, and it was amazing. And I did it every year for like 10 years. It was amazing. And the first time I met Donald Trump, and I just have to put this out because I hate also when we talk about mind control and the media, I see what they did to this one man. And he's just one man, but they're doing it to all of us. They took this man who had such a heart for the children. And he got up on the stage and he made a presentation the first time I met him about all these children and the brave and courageous parents who were doing this, and he was wiping the tears from his face. And I just sat there and said to myself, wow, this big, amazing man from New York City who built hotels and businesses and skyscrapers and the rinks, and here he is. He's got such a heart. It made me cry. Sometimes when you see a man cry, you cry as a woman. It just sort of brings something out in you. But they really did him wrong, is what I'm saying. And they convinced over 50% of the population of the United States of America that he was the most hateful, despicable, disgusting character on the planet out of nothing. And it's still going on. So be that as it may, I wanted to say one thing about autism. And the way I am, I like to talk to people and analyze what's going on. And I asked many of the parents at these unicorn foundations what they thought was the reason. And some of them had 2 and 3 children that were born autistic. So I had to ask, well, what do you think it is? And they said, it's genetic. Now, I never said another thing after that because, to me, if this is true, I don't know about you, I didn't see much of this growing up. I just didn't see it. I don't know if it did happen, but statistically we know it's happening more and more and more and more to the point of ridiculousness.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing, right? They have people believing the autistic thing is genetics, and I'm not going to sit here and just like gaslight people or say whatever, right? But there was a study done by the CDC. They have it buried. It's actually buried. I have to go find it again. I should have saved it the first one. I saw it like 8-9 years ago. But they had actually had a study that said the some of the side effects of the MMR vaccine gives neurological damage, right? And it's like that makes freaking sense. Yeah, you can't make something. You can't make something genetic. Right? I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? You can have, you know what I'm saying? You can have genetic deformities like Downs, right? That's a genetic thing, right? That's genetics, and that's a whole bunch of other things going on, right? But to say autism, right? That is basically a misfiring of neurons, basically, without getting, right? You can't say that's genetic.
Well, are the people that are suffering neurological disorders from the jab, is that genetic? I don't think so.
Exactly where I was going to go with that. That's exactly where I was going to go with that.
I've been hanging out with you too long. And then look at the food. Look at the food. Look at our food chain.
Right.
As the Roundup and the weed killers and the pesticides have increased and increased, all these children are being born with autism? Mm-hmm. What? Where are these chemicals coming from?
Right.
Who's using them?
Right.
Why are they using them?
Right. Now, we can't say, right, if a pregnant woman, right, uses drugs during her pregnancy could trigger that. We're not going to, because even again, right, drugs is a chemical, right? So it's still the same context, but how much, right? Now, there's other things that's on the autism spectrum that are natural. Now, I don't want to take away from that either, right? But not as severe as some of these cases are coming out. What is exacerbating these circumstances? And there's only a few things that have changed in the last 30 years. Yeah.
It's just a question that is out there. And, when my daughter was born, I read the British journals of medicine, which back then the British government did not mandate childhood vaccination.
Correct.
And my chiropractor had given me all this material to read, and I read it, and I was like, wow, never did I think about this, because I didn't have children before her. And I went to the pediatrician. She was like 6 or 8 weeks old, and he stood over her with his cigarette dangling from his mouth. I mean, he's with a baby, a newborn baby, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah. And he says, okay, you have to sign these papers now, and we have to get her vaccinated. And I said, wait, what is it? He says, no, just sign it. Everybody does this. That's what he said to me. And I said, I'm going to go sit in the waiting room with my child, and I'm going to read this. He said, well, you're the first person that's ever done this. I said, so? That's okay. He said, all right, take it. Go read it. I sat down. I read like 5 pages of gobbledygook, and at the end it said, death may occur.
Hello?
I said, I'm going to schedule another appointment. I mean, I left on night, I never went back there, though. Never went back. And I started to search for doctors and lawyers and ways to get out of this. And at the time, I found ways to get out of it. And consequently, I never vaccinated my child. I got her through camps and schools and you name it with a legal letter stating it was against my religious beliefs. And nobody asked me what it was, so I didn't know what it was either.
Right.
It was just my personal belief. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you know, today you can't do that. Can't do it. Can't do it. What's happening?
You sure can't.
They're destroying our children. They really are destroying our children.
Yeah. Yes, they are, in more ways than one.
Yep.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. And you and I have talked about this, the war on our health overall, which is part of the spiritual invasion. It really is. That the medical system has been so indoctrinated into the Rothschild, AMA, colleges, and one-way think tank. And don't be an osteopath or a homeopathic physician, and don't take anything natural. That's all bogus. That's all bullshit garbage. You don't think that way. We have something better. I mean, this is what our parents kind of brought us up in, believing that doctors cared about us. And I don't know. I'm at such a loss right now that I don't know who, and this is part of it, we don't know who to trust at this point because we know that we're being lied to. We know that.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing, right? And we got a couple minutes before we have to go pay some bills real quick. But, okay. You know, we're looking. One of the other elements of this spiritual invasion, right, is and I mentioned it briefly in the beginning, is the physical attacks on the physical, right, illnesses, life-threatening loss, things like that, right? And I remember a passage from the Bible for my Christian friends, right? John 10:10, right? And John 10:10 talks about the enemy wants nothing more than to steal, kill, and destroy our lives and everything that we love, right? This psychological warfare, right, is that thief, right? Totally. That preys on the people, right? And we have to look no further than especially our federal government. Some states, it's your state government. But anyway, government as a whole. I'm just going to broad brush the whole thing, right? It's government as a whole that is this bully that will steal, kill, and destroy our lives and everything we love if we do not comply to what they want, right? They even go as far as, right, silencing us, right? Silencing our voices, right? To shut off the light that we are projecting on things that they don't want to come to light. But I also remember too, right? Daniel 6, right? When Daniel was in the lion's den, right? Daniel was in the lion's den, and the people that threw him in that lion's den thought he was going to be dead by morning, but lo and behold, God closed the mouths of those lions and kept them quiet completely through the night, and didn't touch a hair on Daniel. Right? We all are Daniel. Right? We're all are Daniel. We are. Right? We just need to, again, right, be still. Right? Keep doing what we're doing, but be still. Right, the fight, because the psychological attack is only going to get worse, especially with these these administrations across the country, including the federal one that wants to defy natural law, defy God's law or moral law. Right, we just call it natural law. Right. Yep. They will fall eventually. Right. We just need to be still and let the light shine into the darkness, right? I mean, there's so many people right now getting exposed right now for what they have been doing, what they have done. And, there's a lot of people out there that are still blind to it. They have not, quote unquote, woken up yet. But see, I don't expect them. I don't expect those people to wake up because they are part of the system that John 10:10 tells us that wants to steal, kill, and destroy us, from our physical to our psychological to our financial, right? So we need to let those sleeping dogs just lie in the corner over there and let them bark every now and again. But we also have to let those sleeping dogs know that we are in control. We are in control.
Absolutely.
We got to pay some bills. Absolutely. So y'all know what to do. Cheese, wine, and crackers do the things. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the spiritual warfare, the signs that we are in a spiritual warfare, and get into solutions on how we can combat this major psyop that we're dealing with, because all our mental health matter, right? And it's a concern. So y'all stop back in the Southern Liberty here in 6.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks finishing higher, and the Dow snapping its 5-session losing streak after February inflation data matched estimates and suggested that price pressures continue to ease. The consumer price index rising 6% from a year earlier, cooling for an 8th consecutive month. Yet excluding volatile food and energy costs, so-called core prices rose 0.5%, which was slightly above January's gain. The Dow rising 336 points, the Nasdaq up 239, S&P 500 up 65. Regional banks clawed back a portion of the sharp declines suffered since the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. And shares of Meta Platforms, parent of Facebook, spiking over 7% after the social media company announced plans to cut 10,000 more workers over several months in a focus on efficiency. Back in November, Meta announced more than 11,000 layoffs. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Do you want to know what's trending now? You can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. No payments and no interest for 6 months. This is a big deal. NetSuite by Oracle has never made an offer like this in its 22 years as the leading cloud financial system. 33,000 companies have already upgraded to NetSuite, gaining visibility and control over their financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, build forecasts, and increase productivity across every department. In fact, almost 90% of finance leaders agree that NetSuite helps them reduce manual data entry time. Whether your business generates millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, take advantage of this special financing offer of no payments or interest for 6 months at netsuite.com/quick. That's netsuite.com/quick. netsuite.com/quick.
Taking action on gun violence. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
My executive order directs my Attorney General to take every lawful action possible to move us as close as we can to universal background checks without new legislation.
President Biden with the announcement in Monterey Park, California, the site of a mass shooting 7 weeks ago that left 11 people dead and 9 others injured. The order also forces government agencies to look into better ways to support communities after a mass shooting and enhance so-called red flag laws. A class action lawsuit being filed against the parent company of Silicon Valley Bank, its CEO and chief financial officer. The suit says the company didn't disclose the risks that future interest rate increases would have on its business. The suit is seeking unspecified damages for those invested between June 16, 2021 and March 10, 2023. The latest inflation reading shows some improvement, with prices rising at a slower pace.
Prices rose at a more modest pace last month. The consumer price index rose 0.4%, up 6% for the year ending in February. It's a sign of slow improvement in inflation. The CPI rose at a 9% pace in June. Excluding food and energy, prices rose 0.5% last month, up 5.5% over the year ending in February. The producer price index, prices at the wholesale level, will be released on Wednesday.
Fox's Ginny Casola. The state of Ohio has filed a lawsuit against Norfolk Southern Railway in connection with last month's toxic train derailment in East Palestine. Norfolk Southern says it's been providing financial assistance to residents and has been working on cleaning the site safely. The FAA says it's investigating after a taxiing airplane took a wrong turn last week at Ronald Reagan National Airport outside Washington and crossed a runway where another plane was preparing to take off. America's listening to Fox News.
How do I address an employee who smells bad all the time?
Talk to Bambi.
One of our employees just reported sexual harassment.
Talk to Bambi. HR managers can cost $80,000 a year, but with Bambi, you get access to your own dedicated HR manager starting at just $99 per month. Policies, onboarding, terminations, training, feedback, coaching, and more. Talk to Bambi by phone, email, and real-time chat. Visit Bambi.com and type Fox Brief on your smart speaker when you sign up. Spelled BAMBEE.com, Fox Brief Smart Speaker.
A California-based senior facility and its leadership are facing charges related to COVID-19 exposure in the early days of the pandemic.
The charges against the CEO, administrator, and executive vice president of Silverado Senior Living's Beverly Place location outside Los Angeles, stemming from COVID-19 exposure in March of 2020.
The new resident was not tested for COVID-19, nor required to quarantine in isolation prior to admission.
L.A. District Attorney George Gascon in a press conference Tuesday, failure to quarantine that COVID-stricken patient resulted in the death of Brittany Bruner Ringo, a 32-year-old nurse.
In addition to Ms. Bruner Ringo, 13 residents contracted COVID-19 and died.
Among the charges, felony elder endangerment, which carries a prison sentence of up to 4 years. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
The Environmental Protection Agency is proposing the first federal limits on harmful forever chemicals in drinking water. The toxic group of compounds is linked to health issues, including low birth weight and cancer. The EPA proposes limiting 2 common types of the compounds to the lowest level that tests can detect. A Chicago man has filed a class action lawsuit against Buffalo Wild Wings over its boneless wings.
The suit accuses Buffalo Wild Wings of false advertising, claiming the company wants diners to believe boneless wings are wings that have been deboned when they're actually, quote, slices of chicken breast meat deep fried like wings akin to a chicken nugget. Buffalo Wild Wings tweeted a series of saucy responses like, quote, it's true. Our boneless wings are all white meat chicken. Our hamburgers contain no ham, and our buffalo wings are 0% buffalo. And crypto is just boneless money, and decaf is just boneless coffee. As reparations for the alleged chicken dupe, the suit demands a jury trial, an unspecified amount of punitive damages, lawyer fees, and any other fines determined by the judge.
Fox's Gianna Gelosi. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Do you want to know what's trending now? You can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. No payments and no interest for 6 months. This is a big deal. NetSuite by Oracle has never made an offer like this in its 22 years as the leading cloud financial system. 33,000 companies have already upgraded to NetSuite, gaining visibility and control over their financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. Everything they need to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, build forecasts, and increase productivity across every department. In fact, almost 90% of finance leaders agree that NetSuite helps them reduce manual data entry time. Whether your business generates millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, take advantage of this special financing offer of no payments or interest for 6 months at netsuite.com/Fox. That's netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
Welcome back, Southern Liberty. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us this lovely and cool and brisk Tuesday evening down in the Sunshine State. I didn't think I would actually, this time of year, I'm a North Florida kid. So, this time of year, it's still cool up north, right? It's still cool up in, outside Jacksonville and Tallahassee and Mariana, Lake City. It's kind of still cool up there, right? It's still, highs are getting up in like the low 70s, what have you. But, be down here in South Florida and the temperature didn't even get over 74 today. Like, oh. What are we looking at here? You know what I mean? California's getting snow
it's usually
and
cooler. I mean, I've been here for a long time, and these 3 months in the winter, it usually is really a lot cooler. This has been the hottest winter I have ever felt.
Really?
Here. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, it cooled down like for 2 weeks and then shot right back up into the high 80s and 90s. I think it's just been sweltering for the most part. But this is a relief tonight that we're feeling.
Yeah, here in this little pocket where I'm at, it really hasn't gotten over 75. Really hasn't gotten over 75 down here in this little corner, for the most part. I mean, they say the air temperature is this.
I'm more out west and it's hotter here. Yeah.
I mean, we got the constant sea breeze, so out there, I mean, that's a lot too. You know about that, the whole sea breeze thing. So yeah, I mean, it could be just little pockets, but it's been pretty cool right here in this particular area, right here around North Palm Beach. And all this little area right here. Yeah. So yeah, it's been it's been a blessing per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spiritual warfare, though. Spiritual warfare we're talking about. And I don't want to make everybody else jealous with the temperature, so I kind of just diverted from that. Everybody's like, I can't believe it. It's 19 here. We get like 10 feet of snow. Sorry for you, boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry for you. I know you stop. I've been there. I empathize with you. I've been there. So one of the other things with this spiritual invasion that we're looking at, right? The despair, darkness, and fear that is played upon us. What do you think about that?
Well, what I see in that department are all the people that are afraid to speak up. And this is part of the maybe normalization, but also just plain old fear. Look at how many people are dying from what we see.
Oh, gee, and younger than normal.
Yeah, nobody will talk about it. In fact, I've heard doctors say, well, there's a lot of heart problems when you get COVID. I'm like, well, is this how they're going to get out of this whole conversation? You're not going to look at the possibility that what they've been putting into people's bodies is the virus, is the poison, is causing the heart attacks and the strokes. They're going to skirt around it for fear that they would lose their jobs or say the wrong thing at the wrong time, so the silence, the people that are afraid to speak, go to China, go to Russia. People that have lived in communism, they keep their heads down. Their parents tell them, don't say anything. Just stay quiet. Don't say anything.
Right.
This part of this spiritual invasion that we're looking at is the fear of speaking up and speaking out about the important things that need to be said. How dare we not speak out?
How dare
you? And I'm tired of. How dare you? No, but I'm listening to. Well, actually, I was watching a 55-minute movie the other night, a documentary on live art, child trafficking.
Okay.
In Australia, in the early 1900s. That's why I watched it. I said, this is really very interesting. I never, saw anything like it. And it was based on a woman that wrote a book called Unnatural Habits. I know her last name was Greenwood. I don't remember her first name. But the movie was called White Gold in Australia. So I said, what's white gold? Well, this got more and more interesting as the show went on, as this documentary went on, because it was the whole conglomeration of the Catholic Church working with the politicians. This is a very old story, isn't it? And Red Cross and the whole stinking 9 yards. But what they did is they took all of the children that were born out of wedlock, because don't forget, there was no abortions then. If you got pregnant, you had the baby. So they would give these unwanted children over to the Catholic Church, so-called charities, and the nuns, and they would basically use them for child labor. They were in the work camps, doing laundry. They lived in horrible conditions. They were paid nothing. It was free labor. And they looked at it as, well, these children are lost souls. They have no parents. They're lost souls. And of course, all the people that worked in those industries, the men, they raped the young girls. And this was like almost a spy mystery of these two private investigators that really discovered this ring. Now, the white gold was that they didn't want melanated girls. They only wanted white girls. You see, this is why it became so interesting to me. I was sort of fixated on this on so many levels that it brought me to today with, live art coming over on all these Walmart boats and the organized society we live in that has this down to a science, trafficking children, and the Clinton Foundation. I just started to think about when people eventually find out what's really going on. I think they're going to be horrified. Horrified.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we're going to take down this horror, but I think just finding out about it is horrific. Realizing that the people that, we thought we elected, no, we didn't elect these people. They're all installed. They're all part of the criminal empire, the gangsters running everything, the mafia, all around the world. And I hope that this Epstein case a piece of it can go somewhere. I'm praying for pieces at this point.
Yeah,
pieces of a nightmare.
I'm with you on that one. I am with you on that one because it's that again, right? This goes back to the whole desensitization of of what's right and wrong, right? And what we feel is right and wrong, at least in the United States, right? And they've preyed upon that. They've hid it, right? Because obviously, right? They're hiding it from all of us. They're hiding it on purpose. And then, like you said, when it comes to light that these people have been lying, what are their supporters going to do? And I'm not talking about the elites that are supporting each other. I'm talking about the common people that we try to tell, these people are not who you think they are. And you just...
No, they're demons. They're demons.
Vote Democrat, vote blue, no matter who. And then, Yeah. Because morality is not a political sport, right? It's not a political sport. It's what's right and what's wrong according to our societal norms and standards. I mean, that's it. There's no other way to explain that.
And think about all of us that kind of know about this stuff. Maybe we don't know as much as we think. Like when I was watching this movie the other night, I just had no idea that this was going on in the early 1900s in Australia. Mm-hmm. And there are rings and rings, and the reality of this is so ugly and demonic. It's almost beyond conception, because when you hear that they're bringing in all these children over our southern border, and where are they? Where are they? They're getting trafficked all over the world. And their organs are being removed. They're being killed right in human sight.
Yep. And no one gives a rat's ass about it.
So cannibalistic. It's so disgusting and disgraceful that the only thing we can do is pray for the enlightenment and the ability to have these demons taken out, that these rings be broken up, that these people be brought to the forefront of our reality, even on some level, because once you can't turn away from this. Once you see even a piece of it, like let's just imagine the Epstein Island in the Bahamas, like some pieces of this puzzle actually coming out. What would the people do about it? How would the people recognize this? Would they deny it? Some people would just, I don't want to know this. Don't talk about it.
Right. That's right.
I'm so tired of that. You know, it's so old. You don't want to hear what's going on. You're losing your country. You're losing your money. You may run out of food, fuel. This is demonic what's going on, and we have to stop it. And we can't stop it if we are frightened to learn about it.
You said a mouthful.
Yeah. Where's our common sense gone?
To the wayside.
Let's bring it back up.
To the wayside.
Let's bring it back up.
That's where it's been. It's been to the wayside on the east side. You know, and again, right? It's these people. They've been trained in depravity so long, right? And the other piece, right? We were talking about when we were talking about the bridge between using the autistic children for the trans agenda, right? And you know, we have to get into talking about the deep confusion and the feelings of condemnation and guilt, right? Yeah. Because of your dulled spiritual awareness, right? Because anybody, right? Spiritual awareness gives you a sense of pride, right? Right. It's that dopamine hit. Like, you know what? I'm not as virtuous as the next man. You know what I'm saying? I'm humbled, right? But at the same time, I know that I am walking the correct path of good and morality. Mm-hmm. But you have those ones, right, that are deeply confused about who, what, when, and where because of these demonic things that has manifested before us, right? And those demons, right, have said, "Oh, right." Now follow me with me a second, right? Mm-hmm. When we were growing up, there was no such thing as toxic masculinity, right? No such thing, right? It was a man being a man, you know what I mean, and doing what he do, right? Except for the players. We don't mess with the players. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
macho man.
Right, macho man, right? You know, macho man is the man. He's the like the epitome of the like 1930s, 40s gangster type. You know what I mean? Gangster look type, right? Smoking cigars and things like that. Yeah. But when we had this whole thing with toxic masculinity come along, right? What also came along with toxic masculinity is men need to be sensitive to what women need, right? So now we're dumbing men down to beta, even gamma in some cases, right? Oh, well, you know, for comfortable being a man, it's okay to transition into being a woman, right? The emasculation over decades. Right? They even desensitized us with movies like To Wong Fu, right? Remember Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson and all that? they started desensitizing us to this agenda out in the open. Right now, I'm not saying that cross-dressers or whatever were on the down low, or transvestites were on the down low, right? Yes, granted, in society they weren't so much accepted as a whole. Now, certain pockets they were, whatever, right? But it's not out. It wasn't out there then like it is now as a perversion to push an agenda. So now what we have, right, is men coming back, circling back around again, using their toxic, quote unquote, toxic masculinity to still tell women how to act. And that's what they were trying to avoid. They were trying to avoid men. Not, you know what I'm saying? They needed to be more sensitive. So, okay, we'll be more sensitive. We'll dress and pretend we're women and then tell women how they should act, and then classify the biological women by calling them cisgendered, right? To invoke a moral superiority and virtue that they created out of thin air.
Well, feminism. The whole, feminist movement that I guess started in the, late 60s. I'm not sure. But, Ms. Magazine and women wanting to totally take care of themselves and not need a man. And wait a minute. I have a question, and I don't know if you have the answer, but I'm sure people wonder about this. Are there more men that become women, or are as many women transitioning to men?
You know, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, though, right? Here's the thing, right? It's the opposite, right? There's more men transitioning into becoming women, right? But you have the women folk, right? You remember back from our day, right? The whole lesbian, right? The butch type, right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. You knew who they were, but they didn't run around was like, yo, I'm a dude. You know what I'm saying? They were a woman, right? They worked out and they did the things. We just looked at them like, okay, whatever, dude. You know what I'm saying? They want to be part of the boys. Yeah. Hey, you part of the boys. You down. You know what I'm saying? We didn't care. Right? But these men that sit out here, the loudest ones that wear these dresses and all this stuff, like, look, I'm a woman. No, shut up. Shut up.
They're prancing. Yeah. They're parading and prancing it out. Yeah. And that's a problem. That's a problem for us because, what are we supposed to do? Listen, I've been in New York City with the Gay Pride Parade, and I have no issues with gay people at all.
Right.
But to see this parade in New York it's an eye buster. I never needed to see it again. I just happened to be there at that time. And my daughter was living in Chelsea, so it was a very big gay area and restaurants owned by gay couples. And, it was just... And when I saw this parade, I was like, why? Why do you have to do this? It was immoral. They were, half of them not dressed. They were prancing in bright pink wigs and high heels, and it was just...
That's almost an extension of the whole pussy hat thing, right? It's the pussy hat. The pink pussy hat thing, right?
Oh, this was worse than pussy hat. This was far worse. Yeah, it's an expose. I mean, why... I don't know, I guess they needed to draw as much attention to themselves to make us, the normies, more aware of their need for attention. It was nothing more than attention device, It was just, it was offensive on a lot of levels. I didn't really want to look at it. I didn't feel I needed this.
Right.
It's good for them, if they all want to come out and celebrate each other that way, that's fine. But in the streets of Manhattan with people not being able to avoid it, people with children and having to explain what this is, I don't know. Yeah, I'm tired of it. But the other thing that I was thinking about with, our sort of... fight and flight mode that we're in this invasion. Like we're all revved up all the time, and I think we go out of our way to say, okay, I got to get out of this state of mind. This is not serving me. And so you go outside into nature and you start taking care of your garden or your flowers or taking your dog for a walk. And I know for myself what's on the top of my mind when I do all of that is that I am trying to escape what's really happening, and I almost can't do it anymore. Like nothing is working. I can't get myself into that proper meditative space that 2 years ago I was able to just go right into.
Right.
I mean, I could get there. Now I'm just, I have weird thoughts when I'm going to sleep at night. I start to think of all these possibilities that I never would have thought of before. The possibilities are scary. They're in your own mind, and they start to fuel. They start to fuel, and you say to yourself, holy shit, I'm going to grab my Bible, I'm going to go sit out in the living room, I gotta come down. I gotta do something. This is not good. So it's almost becoming impossible to escape the invasion. And who amongst us is not sitting here right now today saying, holy crap, am I going to lose all my money? Am I going to lose my house? What is going to happen with all these banks going out? And let me tell you, if you call anybody that works in the banking industry, they're just like the doctors, they can't talk to you anymore. They're not allowed to say what they know is really happening.
Yep. I mean, should we go over the definition of fascism again?
Yeah, you can.
I'm just saying that facetiously, right? Because people seem to keep thinking that there's this fascism coming from the right and the Republicans, and it's like your government is engaging in regulation on private business. Hello, the definition of fascism. Banks are crashing. Federal Reserve was the test run. They've perfected it. Right?
They did.
Right? And now people, oh my God, my money. But y'all are talking about preaching against fascism. And here we are. You're supporting a fascist government. But only the people on the right are fascist. Only the people on the right are fascist.
I don't know that people are supporting it. I think they don't even know what's going on.
Hey, you know what? Here, look, Ms. Val, you've known me long enough. There is no reason to continue to keep your head in the sand after you have been told this time and time again. The time of maybe no. You heard the information, right? You heard the information. You decided not to research it. You decided to blow it off as right-wing propaganda, right? It's kind of the same thing when you die, according to the book of Revelation, when you die, right? And then when you're absent from the body and you're present in front of God in the spirit, and if your name is not written in the book of life, he'll tell you to depart from me, that thou never knew me. This is the same concept with me. Same concept. You have been presented with the gospel, right? You've been presented with the gospel to secure your civil liberties, but you decided to ignore it. So depart from me. Because you're no longer on this team. What's that?
I never knew you.
Yep, that's right.
I love that. It's so true. It's so true. The only thing we can do, obviously, prayer. I'm a firm believer in prayer, but people are going to realize in this country, especially for us, because I can't think about Ukraine, Russia, China. We all have our problems. Yep. It's like you're not going to get into a fight with your next door neighbors because the two people are not getting along. You're just not going to go there.
Right.
Right? I mean, we have to think about the United States of America right now. We need to stop this insanity at our southern border, break up this child trafficking. We need to I heard a great story tonight from someone in Texas that they are opening gold banks. And I did hear a rumor about a year ago that DeSantis was working on that in Florida as well.
Yes,
and
I heard the
we
same
need,
thing.
Yep, gold-backed currency. Now, what's happening is when you use that currency in Texas, it's available. He said they still tax you on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just the same as money. But it's about value.
Yes.
If the American dollar is going to have no value, and they're going to transition us into this digital currency that we don't understand yet, well, maybe it will be similar to a credit card and wiring money, and I don't know. I have no concept. I've known what we do now my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't impress upon people enough to figure out some way of protecting what you might need, what you might be able to utilize now, and if you can only afford to buy some silver, do it fast, because the availability of this stuff is running out.
Yeah.
It's time is running out. And one thing the politicians are all doing is they're buying up the gold and the silver like crazy. And the Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
They're buying it. Yeah. Because they know what's happening. They've been doing this for a long time, and they've known that this is going to happen for a long time. Mm-hmm. It was us that didn't realize our planet was being poisoned by the demons. And you know, yeah, we've been talking about stocking up and piling up and making sure you have everything you need, because this storm is going to get real rocky until the next election. For sure.
Real quick. I mean, really quick, too. Really, really, really
and
quick.
The next invasion we have to have is a common sense invasion. That's the one we need.
They not ready. As I said, they not ready. They ain't ready for that kind of invasion. Come on now. We'll send these people into shock. Because common sense and cash stand for dollars, right? They cash in for dollars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what they did. We got to roll out, Miss Val. Thank you. Appreciate you as always. I appreciate everybody for stopping through this evening. Make sure that you stop by Friday for Fired Up Friday. We're gonna bring the news as we do. We're gonna bring the heat. And we're gonna talk smack. But we're also going to bring facts, right? Because always remember, you got to remember one thing. There's always two sides to one story, but there's only one set of facts. So remember that next time when we see you, life, love, liberty, and happiness. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Southern Liberty Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.bpmg.us or leave a rating and review on iTunes. To catch all the latest from Roderick, you can follow him on social media at manofjustice007. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.